Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Pour. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Brian.
Today we are going to be talking about 3 allocated bourbons that we always will hunt or think about hunting. And I think that this is a really cool exercise, Brian, because allocated bourbon is that word allocated is really a buzzword. And everybody's always looking for special releases or limited releases, and some things have gained popularity. I think there's probably more allocated bottles out there on the market today than there probably ever has been. I don't really know, but anyway, we're going to get to that and talk about maybe why we will always kind of look for these and what we would maybe pay for them and everything.
And I know when I was going through my list, I was just thinking about how the prices have changed a lot over the last few years, and some of these bottles that I've purchased in the past kind of gotten to a point now where they might be one that I may replace every other year or every third year, but I'm probably not going to be going back to the well for one that's $150, $200.
Right.
So I kind of kept that in mind for the ones I picked, and then just kind of different reasoning on why I picked them. Yeah. So
I think you and I are really similar in that we don't really like our threshold for what we're willing to spend on a bottle. Compared to a lot of people that we've watched on YouTube stuff is pretty low. We just don't typically go in those high price range, especially when it comes to overpaying. So let's get with it though, Brian. Let's start with your first one.
Okay. Well, my first bottle would be the Eagle Rare 10-year from Buffalo Trace. This one, it depends on where you're at. Sometimes this one's more available than in other states. But this for a 10-year bourbon, a couple of years ago, this was around the $30 to $33 range. It's crept up now. I think the last time I bought it, it was $49. But I would still put that in a range that I would replace this bottle. Yeah. I think you could still get it over at the distillery for $40, maybe.
Yeah, $40.
So,
it's $40.
So I mean, it's a good solid bottle. It's one that, like I said, I'll always hunt just because it's a huntable one that it can be found.
Right.
Okay. I could ask my local liquor store owner to say, hey man, when one comes out, holler at me. I really want one.
And you're not going to spend an arm and a leg to get it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I think what I have my 3 bottles here, but I just changed my mind and I'm going to go with Eagle Rare as well. Now let me tell you, that's a little bit complicated of an answer for me because I am not the biggest fan of Eagle Rare. It's okay, it's great. I do like the price, and I do like the proof on it. 90 proof, it's excellent. It's got an age statement, all those cool things. The bottle's really pretty. This is my father-in-law's favorite bourbon, and he doesn't really pay attention to allocated bourbon. He just likes the bourbons that he likes. It just so happens that this one's hard to find. And so the very first bottle I ever bought him, he didn't know what it was. I was at Buffalo Trace Distillery. This was, 6-7 years ago. And I told Erica, I said, let's get this for your dad for Christmas. Bought it for him. He opened it up and he was like, this is my favorite. Well, it turns out hard to find. So ever since then, though, anytime he's low, I always take care of him and always get him an Eagle Rare. Yeah. I think he's actually really truthfully, out of the many bottles that he's went through, he's probably only bought maybe 1 or 2, so that's pretty cool. One time he bought it for, before he knew it was hard to get, he bought it for Erica's uncle, his brother-in-law, and didn't realize that it was that hard to come by, and then her uncle thought it was a bottle of wine. So he didn't know what he had either. But anyway, so I think I'll go with Eagle Rare as well.
Okay. Well, then my second one would be the Elijah Craig, the barrel proof. This one in particular is the C923, which everybody knows was a banger, and that one knocked it out of the park. They put out a good product. Even the ones that come out that you're like, oh, that's not the best one they've done. It's still tremendous. Yeah. I've been able to get all of mine for around $69. I don't think I had to pay anything over $69. And it's just solid. That whatever they put out. Now this would be one that, like I said, if you're not into the proof, then I would shy away from this one. But this is one, if you like the higher proof bourbons, it's always going to be good. Sometimes like this one, it ends up being great, and you're still on a decent price range. You're getting towards the higher end of what I like to spend, but still a once a year bottle for that, or realistically,
you'll pick one of them up.
You
right?
can get it 3 times, but
Yeah.
I don't rarely get it. I got it twice last year.
Right.
I always seem to miss one of them.
Right.
But for $69, they're just solid.
Yeah.
So.
And traditionally, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this because I just said traditionally I don't like Eagle Rare and I traditionally don't like Elijah Craig, but this one's the C923. That's some of the best stuff ever, and I am not tremendously big on ultra high proof. It's 133 proof, and I love that stuff. That's an excellent bottle.
It drinks smooth.
If I could find one now, I would pay more than the $70 to find that one.
I bet you would have to.
Yeah, it probably would. So the next one for me, for kind of similar reasons that you picked Eagle Rare, is this Henry McKenna single barrel and the bottled and bond 10-year. This one, it used to be way more attainable, kind of sat on the shelf and stuff, and then it won an award some years ago and became much more difficult to find, and then the price kind of doubled, which really I don't usually like that, but the more you think about it, it's bottled and bond, it's 10 years, and it's a single barrel. They probably shouldn't be charging $30-some for it. So that's one that when this bottle is gone, I will seek it out and pick another one up. I'm not going to buy a backup. I'm not really too big on backup bottles, but that is definitely one that I would add to my list that I'll always be looking for.
Yeah, I did pass on a backup bottle. I was at the Heaven Hill, and they set them out for $74.99. At the time, it was like, oh man, the bottle I had, I paid $35 for.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. My first bottle I paid $35, and the bottle that I had gotten since then was $55.
Right.
So it had already jumped $20 in just like a less than a year.
Yeah,
so.
Too much of a sticker shock, and then two. You can find it for less than $75. I mean, I think I paid $60, and I didn't want to pay $64, but I did that last year, and I don't have any regrets on that. I think my first bottle was $39, but I'll always be looking for that because similar to Eagle Rare, you should be able to find this, and it's not an outrageous price, even though it has kind of doubled.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, then my last bottle is the Rebel 10-year. So this is one you don't hear a lot of people talking about. It's a weeded bourbon. It's 100 proof. It drinks really smooth. It's got good elements, and I like a baking spice or a rye spice. I like, obviously it's not a rye spice. I keep on saying that. But it's a baking spice, and you get a good bite with it. So it's 100 proof, but I think it drinks above its proof.
Yeah. In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
That you fill it, and now the price on this one has gone up to, it was $65 for the first couple ones that I got. The last time I got it, I believe I paid $92.
Yeah,
so that's getting in a range where I might start saying pass. But if it stays there and I'm completely out, we'll probably replace it for $90.
Yeah. Last one for me is also one that I almost didn't include, but and we'll get to that. But it is Russell's 13. I don't know what batch number this is. I think it's 4. Anyway, I bought it last summer, summer 2023, and that's the most I've ever paid for a bottle, and I even got it below MSRP. So I paid $140 for this, and the funny thing about it is I love Wild Turkey, my favorite distillery. If you've watched any of our videos before, you probably know that by now, but I was disappointed in this. When I first opened it, I thought it didn't have a whole lot of flavor. Maybe it was the sticker shock or something. I was expecting more. I had really high hopes for it. So a lot was stacked against it. But I've recently, I bought it. I opened it up when I bought it. Thought it was okay. Waited till the fall to try it again. Same kind of thoughts. It's okay. Not anything great. Maybe a little bit better. I've sampled it out to people for them to try. And then recently sampled it out to somebody and they said, oh my gosh, that was excellent. And I thought, let me revisit it. And I poured it and it went from being probably my biggest disappointment to one of my favorites. So for that reason, we mentioned that maybe you'll hunt one every other year. That might be in that range
Right.
just because I'm not comfortable. In
And
that
I
price.
had my thoughts were the same on that. As far as I took the first taste after seeing the price I just paid, and I was like, oh my, yeah, I don't like this that much.
Yeah.
And then but then once I got back and visited it, oh yeah, it is so good.
Yeah.
Similar to I did the same thing with Blanton's Gold.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it's not worth the price. But
Right.
then Blanton's Gold is so solid.
Right.
And it's a really good offering, but it's just when you pay that price, you want it to just be an instant.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best thing I ever had. So.
And it's one of those lessons that used to, I kind of thought in bourbon when people would say, well, this has to open up. And I just was like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
You know, what? Are you kidding me? Okay, come on, it's whiskey. You know, but I think that's true. And even in the glass. So whenever I first pour this, even after my newfound joy in this bottle, even pouring it out, the nose was heavy oak. And I just had to set it out for a couple minutes and let the air get to it. And then it just, I mean, it's a phenomenal bottle. I'm sorry, Wild Turkey, that I ever said anything bad about it. That's going to be my number 3. So what are your 3 top bottles that you will always hunt? Leave them in the comments below for us and see what everybody picks. I think we'll probably see similar bottles here. I guess just maybe
honorable mention.
Honorable mention, and not gonna find it. Weller Antique 107. Reason for that is that's Erica's favorite bourbon. So
It's good.
good reason, but probably also one of mine. So anyway, all right. Well, like we always end every single episode, when you're with your family and your friends, always share your whiskey.